Starship, of course, of SpaceX.
يا حبيبتي لسه ما ابتديتش اهو. لسه he's doing it. يلا ايه لسه؟ طيب يعني فاضل لك 4 مسكين يا سنين. لسه اصلا مفيش حد دخل. لسه اصلا قدامنا 4 minutes. 4 minutes ايه تقدري تخلصي خلصي بقى. يا بنتي انا اسفه.
Like 220 or 120? I'm not sure. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. 220. 220. Yeah. Hello, Murad. I'm not sure who the other person is. Got a couple more minutes before we get started here. Just some images in regards to the Artemis mission that I'm showing here. Oh, hello. So there's the Artemis rocket. You can actually see it on my shirt, that rocket there. Artemis mission was in November of 2022. November of 2022 was the first launch of that SLS rocket, the Space Launch System. This is actually in regards to some more recent news, the Peregrine lander here. So this craft was launched on a Vulcan Centaur rocket a couple of days ago, which the Vulcan Centaur is a brand new rocket. This was the first time it ever launched. It actually did perfectly. So the Vulcan Centaur uses a Blue Origin BE4 engine, which is a brand new engine, never used before for orbit. The first ever Methalox engine. So it actually uses methane gas, which is it's something we can produce on Mars. Okay, so theoretically, a methane engine can obtain fuel on Mars. So that's pretty interesting. But this mission here was actually taking the Peregrine lander to the moon. And the Peregrine lander is a new spacecraft designed by Astrobotics. And it's designed to take payloads to the moon. It's designed to take, please don't. It's designed to put them in orbit or even land them on the moon. Unfortunately, in this mission, there was an issue. So you can actually see where the solid rocket boosters turn off. You got orange, that's solid rocket boosters, and then the methane engine burns blue there. Pretty gorgeous. So you can see the first couple minutes of, well, the blue engines were running as well, but the solid rocket motors actually like blocked that out, so you couldn't see the blue. And here you can, on the right, you could actually see that. Anyway, so we got Celine and Murad. I'm hoping that we will also have Lamar here momentarily. But here is that launch of the Vulcan Centaur. So pretty awesome. They can make it super powerful. Anyway, are you trying to get a hold of me? Hold on, let me turn this off. Murad, go ahead.
So I was trying to say something
and I don't think he heard me, or I was
I don't think I heard you. Go ahead.
I was saying, so was NASA just trying to make an amazing view?
What was that?
And was NASA just trying to make an amazing view?
Trying to make an amazing view? Was NASA just trying to make it? What are you referring to? Are you talking about that rocket that had?
Yeah.
No, I mean, so United Launch Alliance built that rocket, and solid rocket motors are kind of an extremely reliable, quick form of extreme energy. So when you looked at that image, so that was some photographer that took an extremely long exposure on their film, so they were able to see the rocket, the solid rocket motors when they jettison them. Then you just have that blue color. But the purpose of methane engines is that you could refuel methane engines in space. Theoretically, we're nowhere near doing that yet, but that's the idea. Although, kind of funny, actually on the moon there's no methane. It's unlikely that there's any methane on the moon. So this class is focusing on the moon right now, so we'll just kind of stick to that. So we're talking about the Artemis mission. Does anybody know any details about Artemis that you would like to share with us while we're waiting for hopefully Lamar to show up? I sent some videos to you guys, right? Did you get a chance to watch those?
No. But can I please go get something from my bag?
Okay, sure. Yep. Go ahead. You said you're going to go get something from your bag? Are you not now? You changed your mind? Lost? Okay, she's taken off. Okay, yeah, so Artemis. I'm going to turn this volume down, though. Raise your hand if you want to say something. So the Artemis program is humanity's trip back to the moon. So this rocket, the Starship, which I hope you're familiar with, this is the lunar lander, which seems a bit crazy. It's a gigantic vehicle. Recently, just like a couple days ago, NASA updated the launch schedule and whatnot for the Artemis program. So yeah, the Starship actually is going to have to refuel in orbit many times. They're going to have to launch at least 10 launches to refuel the Starship in orbit. So they're going to have to send like tankers up in order for this mission to work. But right now, yeah, the Starship is just in testing. We've seen it launch twice. It is ready to launch again, actually, but we're just waiting on license approval on that. But yeah, the Starship, a huge part. Let me can I turn just this volume down?
Why doesn't it take the fuel that it needs?
What is that, Murad?
Why doesn't it take the fuel that it needs from the start launch?
That's an excellent question. That is the biggest problem with rocketry, actually, Murad. It is extremely hard to get into orbit. It is very, very difficult. In fact, more than 90% of the weight of any rocket system is just fuel. So
I have a question. What are these things? What do they do? It looks like drums.
I think they're supposed to be like solar panels or something like that. Or maybe they're mirrors. I'm not sure. It's just, I thought it was a cool picture. It's on the moon, right? So Artemis is...
This is actually on the moon?
Yeah, no, this is an artist's picture of what future Artemis base might look like. Does it...
Might.
Yeah, so let me just say again, so the reason that they don't take extra fuel is really any rocket launch is more than 90% fuel. Probably more like 94% of a rocket's total mass is actually the fuel. And you have, say, 6% that is the rocket engines, the structure of the rocket, and whatever payload you're going to try to put into orbit. So 6% is all you get for all those other things. So maybe you can get like 3% of the total mass of a rocket as a payload, maybe 4. I mean, nobody's done 4, but like really good, it's really good if you can get 3% of the total mass of the rocket into orbit. So it's difficult to get enough fuel up there for a vehicle to go anywhere else once they are in orbit. Yeah. So again, it will take probably 10 at least launches in order to get enough fuel for Starship to land on the moon. So pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So speaking of Artemis, do we know what is the relationship between Apollo and Artemis? Any idea?
They're both companies. They are launching um
I was thinking
rockets.
I was thinking more along the lines of mythology. Do you know anything of the mythology of Artemis and Apollo? No.
Sorry?
Okay. Well, so first of all, so Apollo was the original moon landings. Apollo was the original moon landings. You had Apollo 11 through 17 that were landing on the moon, except for Apollo 13, of course, didn't make it. But yeah, in mythology, Artemis and Apollo were twin brother and sister. So they were brother and sister. That's their. So a lot of
In
NASA.
real life?
No, this is Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, so there, a lot of NASA's names and stuff come from Greek mythology. So Artemis and Artemis and Apollo were brother and sister. So Artemis.
Who was the girl?
Yeah, which one is the girl?
Our return to the moon will be different than the last
Artemis.
time.
So the first launch of Artemis was in November 16th of 2022. Again, this SLS rocket. So for your category of rocket systems, which actually are worth double. So in our game today, rocket questions are worth double. So this SLS rocket, the Space Launch System, is what they call it. This is actually the vehicle that is supposed to lift astronauts to the moon. This mission here that you're seeing actually took a bunch of different scientific equipment to the moon. There was more than a half dozen different pieces of scientific equipment that were launched on this mission, including the Orion capsule. So the Orion capsule is the crew capsule. Here you can see inside the Orion capsule. This is the crew capsule that on Artemis 2, they're actually going to have 4 astronauts in the capsule. But this first one it was back in November of 2022. It just launched the capsule, and the capsule did an automated orbit of the moon, just like they're going to do in Artemis 2. But we got some pretty good images, and things went fairly well, although there were some issues with the Orion capsule. So here you can see a fantastic view of the Orion capsule orbiting the moon, even a crescent Earth in the background. I mean, that's awesome, right? But yeah, so there were a couple issues with the Orion capsule, and NASA needs to do a bunch of testing, basically, to make sure the capsule is doing perfectly before they put humans in this capsule. So for that reason, and among others, they're actually pushing back Artemis 2 now, I think until September, until September 2025 at the latest, which actually was supposed to be when the actual moon landings were going to happen, was December 2025. So yeah, now Artemis 2, these 4 astronauts are going to do the exact same thing as Artemis 1, except for they're going to be in the crew capsule and they're going to orbit around the moon. And that's just a practice for later rendezvous on the far side of the moon. But yes, this mission has been pushed back to September 2025, and Artemis 3, the actual moon landing, is now set back to late 2026. So September through December 2026, they're thinking that they're going to be landing this behemoth on the moon. What do you guys remember what the name of this beast is?
Starship.
This is the Starship. So can you see the little people standing underneath it?
Nope.
Yeah,
They're too small.
Yeah, there's people standing underneath that rocket, but they're ultra tiny. So this rocket is ginormous.
Yeah, I see only 2.
So this thing is supposed to be the lunar lander. The interesting thing is the crew capsule is at the very top. So they're basically going to need an elevator, which NASA is currently testing the elevator for this system. It just seems a bit crazy to me that this lunar lander is so colossal, right? Maybe they should like lean it over and make it into a habitat or something like that. It's just a beast of a structure. But yeah, so the Starship is going to be fueled in orbit. So the Starship has to launch. So this is showing the actual vehicle that's supposed to land on the moon. It's going to have to go to orbit and get refueled by something. I imagine SpaceX is probably going to have a tanker that is in orbit. They're going to send 10 plus missions up to refuel that tanker, and then this lunar lander is going to have to basically dock with the tanker, refuel these engines, or refuel the rocket, and then it would continue and head to the moon, get into orbit, and it actually has to dock with a small space station, more than likely. Well, they're hoping to put the Gateway space station in orbit around the moon, and then dock the Starship with the Lunar Gateway, and then the Orion capsule that the astronauts rode in coming from SLS, from the Space Launch System, that big orange rocket. It's going to have the Orion capsule. It's going to go into orbit around the moon, dock with the Gateway space station, and then yeah, the lunar Starship will do the same. The crazy thing is, like, the lunar Starship is going to be like a dozen times bigger than the space station itself. So I was trying to find a kind of animation of that, but did I get it in this? I don't remember. But yeah, this giant Starship is going to have to fuel up in orbit. So this is kind of the idea of maybe there's a tanker up there that's in orbit. We filled this up. We took 10 trips up, filled up the silver one, and then it passes its fuel to the lunar lander. So this is the vehicle that's then going to go and land on the moon. I think in this animation, it actually docks directly with the Orion capsule, which again, NASA's plan.
So what you will cost like a lot of money, like a lot.
Yeah, so SpaceX got a $3 billion contract for this program. Yes, so SpaceX is building the Starship, and yeah, NASA gave them $3 billion. But actually, in reality, this Starship would dock with a small space station, and the astronauts would climb in, and then this beast would then go and land on the moon.
Can we start the thing?
Yeah. So yeah, just real quick. So Artemis 3 is now kicked back to 2026. You want to go ahead and start the game? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I did have a video of Artemis, but I think I sent it to you guys, so you could always check it out. Okay. I would want to see. I think this one might actually have. I want to zoom forward and just. Did they get a? No. We'll just go ahead and start the game. That's fine. And there is Artemis 3 is included on the game as well. Wait, where are we at here? And I need to make it just 2 categories or 2 teams. And as always, the jokes are free, so if you get them wrong, then they don't count against you. But I did add double Jeopardy. So there's several double scores now. So like it's rocket science, anything in that category, you get double points. Apollo is now double score, and I guess that's it right now. Okay, I'm gonna put my headphones. Well, no, I'll leave them off. Actually, I think that would. Okay.
Okay, can I start first?
There's a big difference.
It's Celine, so yeah, you can go ahead and go first.
Okay. Moon jokes for 200.
Moon jokes for 200. These are
That's not
wait.
jokes.
What?
That's not moon jokes.
Oh, I missed. I was like, that doesn't seem like a very good joke. All right, moon jokes. What do you call a peanut that grows on the moon?
Can I answer?
Astronaut.
It is an astronut. An astronut is a peanut that grows on the moon.
Oh my god, that's an amazing picture.
That's why I had to leave that joke in there. I'm trying to refresh some of the jokes, but that one's it's just too good. Okay, Celine, you get to pick. You get to select again.
Okay. Our solar system for 300.
What was it for 300? I'm sorry. Our solar system.
Our solar system.
Okay, and again, you can only get 1,000 in a category. What is the most distant planet from the sun?
Okay, what is the most distant planet from the sun? Distant planet.
In our solar system, the most distant planet from the sun. Do, 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 do.
Okay. Is it Neptune?
It is Neptune. It is Neptune. She's like, I can't handle it anymore. I got to answer. You didn't want me singing for much longer. Okay. And yeah, it is Neptune.
Hey,
Which, by the way, this is not how Neptune is not so blue. It's actually,
not that.
yeah, it's actually more of a. It's a very light blue, almost white. But for whatever reason, people like to see it blue. So,
that scar looks amazing.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then
I
she
think that's supposed to
looks
be
like
our
a-
sun. I think that's supposed to be our
This
sun. Man.
part, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Celine, continue.
Okay.
Continue. I dare
Can I
you.
choose our solar system again?
You can, as long as you don't get more than 1,000 points from the category, then you can continue.
Okay. Moon formation for 200.
Moon formation for 200. This theory states that the Earth and Moon condense from the same nebula. So the Earth and Moon, like, they formed in the same exact place.
And so what's the question?
Yeah, so what is the name of the theory, basically?
What's the formation's name?
What is what?
The formation's name.
Yeah, the theory states that the Earth and Moon condensed out of the same nebula. So there was a nebula that had a lot of dust and stuff in it, and because there was so much dust, like particles came together, and yeah, they made larger and larger structures. Eventually, there was so much pressure and gravity that they formed into planets and perhaps the moon. So this is the theory that says that. Any idea, Celine?
Puppy.
No.
No? How about
Wait,
you?
can you please zoom out? Sorry.
Do you have the steel, Murad?
Nope.
It is called condensation theory. So yeah, the moon condensed from. But we know that this is
My
not.
turn.
We know this is not the case. Do you guys remember why it can't be?
I know.
What do you think, Murad?
Because it would be the same size.
Not necessarily. The chemical, or so that they would be closer in density. They would be of the same density, and they're just not, right? We know the moon is 81 times more, or the Earth is 81 times more massive than the moon. Even though the moon is only about a quarter, it seems like it should only be a quarter, or at least a quarter of the mass, because it's a quarter of the size. But yeah, the Earth is much more dense, therefore did not condense from the same nebula. That's how the theory goes. All right, Murad, it is your turn.
Our solar system for 500.
1,000.
Our solar system for 5. This is the tallest mountain in the solar system.
Olympus
that's
Mons.
easy.
It is Olympus Mons. Yep.
It gets easy.
Yeah. Giant shield volcano. Yeah, well, I mean, we struggled with this one for a long
Wait,
time.
what number was this?
I need to move these around next week. It was our solar system for 500. Okay, Murad. We let's say I guess if you get more than 2,500 ahead, we'll go back to Celine. So you can have one more question here, I guess. One or two. Go ahead, Murad.
No, you said 1,500.
Okay, well then it would be Celine's turn. So let's go with 1,500. Celine, go ahead. Remember, we got double score for rocket science. You guys know some rocket science, and we got double score for Apollo.
I want moon jokes for 300.
Moon jokes for 300.
Why
wasn't the astronaut able to get a reservation to stay on the moon?
Because it was a full moon.
Because the moon was full. He couldn't get the reservation because the moon was full. That's a spectacular joke, right? Okay.
You searched them on Google.
Okay.
No, you don't.
Whatever.
Like in 1 second?
I'm a comedian in my spare time. I tell dad jokes. Go ahead, Celine.
Okay. Our solar system for 400.
Our solar system for 400. This is the unit of measurement used for distances between objects in our solar system.
Unit of measurement?
It's the same distance as the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which is like 150 million kilometers, basically. Yeah. What is the name of this unit of measurement?
Unit of measurement. It is
Do you remember what the study of the stars and the universe is kind of called? Starts with an A.
It's
AU.
Well, it is AU. But what is AU? AU.
Is it astronomical unit?
It is astronomical unit. There you go. Yep. And again, that's about 150 million kilometers. The average distance between the Earth and the Sun. So we use, like, Neptune is 30 AUs out. It's 30 times the distance from the Sun that the Earth is. Okay, it is still your turn, Celine. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll choose moon formation for 400.
Moon formation for 400. The Sonesta formation is similar to the most accepted theory of moon formation. Wait, what?
What is that thing?
What? So I'm missing something here. So, what is the most?
Is this?
What is the most accepted form of moon? What do most scientists think?
Can I just say something?
No. Oh well, just so long as you're not answering the question.
Isn't that the moon?
I won't get a steal on this, okay?
Hold on a second, Celine. What's that, Murad? Don't answer the question because it's Celine's call.
I won't. I won't get a steal on this. So if she gets it wrong, like I won't get a steal. Just so we don't waste time.
So the question is, what is the most accepted theory for moon formation?
The answer is Ganymede moon.
Ganymede moon? No. Ganymede is one of the moons of Jupiter. But we're talking about the theory. So we just talked about the condensation theory of moon formation. There's another theory.
Does it start with a G?
It does start with a G. So there's a hypothesis that most scientists accept for how the moon was formed.
Hypothesis means idea.
Is it like giant theory. Something?
It is. I will give you credit for it. It is the giant impact theory. So the giant impact theory, the idea is that in an early Earth, how come that's not? In an early phase of Earth formation, a large object like the size of Mars slammed into it and blew off the surface of the Earth. That object actually penetrated towards the core of the Earth, and the surface of the Earth that was blown into space cooled down and turned into the moon. And that's the most accepted theory currently. All right, Celine, it is your go again.
Okay. Now I'll take to the moon for 200.
To the moon for 200. This is the name of the rocket system and or the organization responsible for its creation, that is for the lunar landing contract. What is this vehicle? Or what is the name of the company that is
Is it Starship?
It is the Starship. Very good. Yes.
Wow, I'm rocking.
You are rocking it. Okay. It is the Starship. Yeah. Which is currently ready for its third launch. Elon actually said, I forgot to mention this, that had they had
that was the video that we were watching today.
Had they had a payload on the last launch, it actually would have survived and made it to orbit. But they basically had too much power.
So when it's my turn, so like I only get to pick one time.
No, the only reason, because you were over 1,500 points in front of her. That's the thing. I'm going to switch it to 2,000 points. So if you're more than 2,000 points ahead of the other person, it goes back to them. Okay, Celine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Celine.
Okay. The moon. To the moon for 300.
To the moon for 300. This is the name of the volume of space that surrounds the Earth and is dominated by the gravitational force of the Earth. So what is the name of the area around the Earth here? Like, what is that? So if you're inside this volume around the Earth, everything falls down to the Earth eventually. The Earth basically is going to pull, unless it's moving pretty darn fast, it's going to get sucked into the Earth. What is the name of this volume of space?
Okay, I think its name is the
So everything goes down to the Earth from if it's inside this volume of space. It's kind of a tricky name, but I remember it because everything falls down it to the Earth. Okay, any idea?
Know.
You don't know? Murad, do you have the steal on this? Murad, are you there? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yes, you're mute.
Hill sphere.
It is the hill sphere of the Earth. So yeah, kind of a weird name. You know, things roll downhill, and everything rolls downhill to the Earth if it's in the hill sphere of the Earth.
Can it be my turn now?
It is now your
Please?
turn, Murad, as well. So
Finally.
okay, go ahead.
Our solar system 750.
Our solar system for 750 points. What is the largest moon?
Ganymede.
Okay. Yeah, it is in fact Ganymede. Nicely done. Okay, so you should go for a big one because you're going to break 2,000 with just about any questions. So maybe go for a big one.
Our solar system 1,000.
Our solar system for 1,000.
I
These
get
are
this
the
right.
4 Galilean moons. So the 4 moons.
Ganymede.
Okay.
This is so hard. What do you call it?
I hear you're
How do you say it?
it sounds
It's like Europe.
yeah.
It sounds like Europe.
Yeah. Europa. Okay, Ganymede, Europa.
And wait a minute. If I get 2 right, do I get half?
I'm not able to give you half. That's like it won't work. So I'm just gonna let's just continue. Let's
Yeah.
we got a good match here. It's Ganymede, Io, which is actually the most volcanic body on Earth. So Io is like super close to Jupiter. I gotta mute a mic here. So Io is super close to Jupiter, and Jupiter is just like ripping it back and forth. Like every time it goes around Jupiter, Jupiter's like pulling it one direction, pulling it back the other direction. So the tectonic forces inside of Io, it's just spewing lava. It's got a liquid surface. It's got liquid metal all over its surface. It's super hot, and yeah, that's Io. Europa is one of the best candidates in the solar system for life outside of Earth. It has an atmosphere. It seems like it has it. We know it has liquid water oceans because it spews water into the atmosphere from underneath ice. So Europa is pretty awesome. And then Callisto, we don't know much about Callisto, unfortunately. It is a very old surface on Callisto. It's bombarded like crazy. It's got a bunch of asteroid impacts, but that's about all we know about Callisto right now. Anyway, we are back to Celine. Go ahead.
Okay. Moon jokes for 400.
Moon jokes for 400. What was the name of the first satellite to orbit the Earth? This one's not very funny, but it is a joke. It is a joke. It does qualify. What was the name of the first satellite to orbit the Earth?
First satellite to orbit the Earth?
It's actually a trick. Because it's more of a trick than a joke. Any idea?
What's the first name satellite? It was NASA.
Murad, do you have the steal?
I'm not.
No idea.
So the first artificial satellite, you might have thought, I know somebody that probably was going to say it was Sputnik. So the first artificial satellite was Sputnik. But this is a class about the moon. So the first satellite to orbit the Earth is the moon. It is a satellite of Earth, yes. So technically, a satellite is something that orbits.
What was that for?
It's a joke. It was a joke. Okay, but you don't lose
It's
your.
It's actually kind of a trick, not a joke.
Yeah, but it's funny. Come on, I can barely breathe. All right. So Sputnik was the first artificial satellite, but the moon. Go ahead.
200.
What was it for 200?
Our solar system.
Our solar system for 200. How many more times more massive is the Earth?
81.
81 times. Yeah, the Earth is 81 times more massive than the moon. And that's why we know the condensation theory doesn't work. If they would have coalesced in the same nebula together, their densities would have been more similar. So the Earth should only be 4 times more massive than the moon because it's 4 times the size. But that's not the case. So we know they did not form together based on that information. Okay, you can wait. Oh yeah, you got it. So let's go. You got the next one.
Our solar system for 100.
The last of its kind, the planet with the highest gravity in our solar system. What is the?
Jupiter.
It is in fact Jupiter. Jupiter has the highest gravity. Then Neptune, then Earth. Even though Earth is, tiny, tiny, tiny compared to Saturn, gravity is more to do with density and surface area. So the Earth has higher gravity. Did I give you your points?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Are you sure? Okay. But you get to continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Moon formation for 300.
This theory of moon, in this theory, the moon and Earth formed in different parts of the galaxy, but somehow the Earth's gravity captured the moon. What is it?
I have no idea.
So the moon was somewhere else, and somehow the moon ventured into our solar system with just the perfect amount of energy so that our Earth could grab it out. We actually...
So everything came in handy, and it was like that perfect?
Yeah, it's unlikely. It would have had to be going just the right speed, just the right angle, and we know this is not true. We actually thought this was the main theory until the Apollo landings of the late '60s and early '70s.
Okay, is it Ganymede?
No. When we when we went to the moon, we got rock samples, and we realized that the composition of the materials on the surface of the moon match identically the composition of the materials on the surface of the Earth. So the surface of the Earth and the moon were formed together, or they were formed from the same materials. Therefore, this capture theory is not valid. This is not a valid theory anymore because, they came from the same thing. They were formed together in some way.
So the answer is capture theory?
It would have been the capture theory, yep. So this was the main theory until we landed on the moon. We landed on the moon, we took rock samples, we're like, whoa, these rock samples, they have the same isotope, they have the same signature, basically, as rock on the surface of the Earth. So this theory is, it's actually ridiculous because the moon is really massive. How would the Earth catch it and get it to go into this perfect orbit? Like, you wouldn't need...
Be all perfect, going at the perfect speed, going at the perfect angle. Nothing's that perfect, and it won't just come. So it's like not your first try, and you get it all perfect. That will never happen.
It would have had to be, it would have to be artificially placed. Aliens.
Yeah, I know.
Aliens would have to do that. Okay, so it is now...
Are aliens real?
I'm just saying if that theory is... We already blew that theory out of the water. Again, the surface materials of the moon are identical to the surface materials on the Earth. Therefore, the surface of the Earth and the surface of the moon were formed together somehow. All right, Murad, it is your turn.
Are the aliens real?
They're not.
We have I don't think there's any good evidence for it so far.
So there's no evidence.
There's no...
Maybe there is evidence.
There's no
First space race 100.
First space race for 100. This is the name of the NASA-led program that actually landed people on the moon. So what is the name of the program?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Race.
So the name of the NASA-led program that actually landed humans on the moon.
Is this
It's also...
Is this for...
It's only for 100, but it's also the name of our last two classes prior to this one. No, it is not Artemis. No.
Other one, I remember it.
Do you have the steel, Celine? So you already said one. So what was the name of the program back in the late 60s, early 70s that first landed humans on the moon?
What? I can't hear you well.
Oh, you can't hear me over. Yeah, so what was the name of the program that landed humans on the moon back in the 1960s?
There's a program that landed people on the... What?
Yeah, on the moon. That's what we've been talking about, right?
The program is... It's this train? The train that you told me about?
No. So remember, at the beginning we talked about the brother and sister.
Olympus.
Oh. So do you remember the brother and sister? I'm trying to get that slide over here. It wasn't letting me. So Artemis is the mission that we were talking about today. That's the current mission to land on the moon. But the original was Apollo missions. Okay. So all right. Time for a couple more questions. I think we're back to the NASA-led program was Apollo 11, Apollo 17, Apollo 13, right? These famous missions, 13 being the infamous mission, I should say, where the astronauts almost died. Yep. So I think we're back to Murad. Go ahead. You're muted.
First space race 200.
First space race for 200. These are two nations involved in the first.
America and Russia.
Yep, and it was the Soviet Union back then. Yeah, so technically Soviet Union, but that's fine. That's good enough. Okay. It was the United States and the Soviet Union. There's basically a new one, hopefully. I'm hoping that the United States is going to participate in this new one. It's between China and the United States. Right now, it looks like China might, win this one. Okay, go ahead, Murad.
First space race 750.
First space race for 750 points. This is the first Apollo mission to go to the moon. Just orbit it. They just orbited it with 3 astronauts. What was the name? What was the number of that Apollo mission? So this is the Apollo mission that took 3 humans into orbit around the moon. Yeah, what was the number of that mission? Like we know 11 through 17 were the ones that actually went to the moon. And well, 13 basically did the same as this mission. They just orbited the moon. Although this mission actually orbited the moon I think 10 times. What's the Apollo number? Any idea?
14.
Apollo 14? No, Apollo 14 landed on the moon. Celine, do you know? Oh, you're muted, Celine. You're muted, Celine. You gotta unmute yourself. I can't hear you. What was the Apollo mission to orbit the moon, Celine? Do you know?
Apollo mission to orbit the moon.
What number was it? So again, 11 landed on the moon first time. It was before 11.
Was it 16?
It was not 16 because 16 actually landed on the moon. 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17 landed on the moon. What is it, Cyrus?
7? Is it 7?
No. It was Apollo 8. Apollo 8 was the one that orbited the moon. Okay. 1 or 2 more questions here. Okay, so I think it is Murad's turn now, right? Because that was Celine guessing and you tried for the steal. So Murad, go ahead.
First space race 300.
Oh, do note though, if you get this one right, we'll go right back to Celine because you're just about to cross 2,000. So maybe you want to choose a big one. I don't know.
Okay, first space race 500.
First space race for 500. This is the rocket. This rocket was the first used in World War II as the last attempt to get.
V2.
It was the V2, Murad. Nicely done. It was the V2 rocket, so the German rocket that kind of started the space race. Okay, Murad, your turn once again. Oh, wait, actually, no, I'm sorry. It is now Celine's turn because you're more than 2,000 ahead. Go ahead, Celine.
Double.
Now, first space race 300.
First space race for 300. This was the first man in space, first to orbit the Earth or the country he was from. So either his name or what country was he from?
Is it that guy, the first guy who landed?
So we're talking about the first guy to go into orbit around the Earth, or the country that put him there.
I know his name, but I forgot it. His name is...
Murad, do you have the steal?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Soviet Union.
It was the Soviet Union. It was Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin was the first human in space. So put up on a Soviet rocket.
Wasn't it that guy whose name was...
This
guy.
It's this guy here, Yuri Gagarin. It was him. There's the rocket that did it. The first rocket to put a human in space. They had put several animals and stuff in space first, but and some of which actually died. But Yuri Gagarin came back to Earth successfully. He was the first person to eat in space. Yeah. Okay. Celine, your turn again.
Wait, do I get the...
Okay. Moon jokes for one time.
Did you have a question?
Wait, do I get the points?
Oh,
Do I get the points for stealing the thing?
Oh yeah, I should have gave you the points. Let me see if I can go back. No. Okay. So we were under what category was that? That was first space race, or was that?
Yep. First space race 300. 300.
Oh no, it was 300. Okay. So you got it because you did say Soviet Union. Very good. But it was Yuri Gagarin of the Soviet Union. Go ahead, Celine.
Okay. Moon jokes for 100.
Moon jokes for how much? 400? Oh, 100.
100.
How do we know there's no hair on the moon?
Eclipse it.
It has to do with the phases of the moon, right?
Yeah, we eclipsed it.
Do you have the steel for that one, Murad?
It waxes it every month.
It actually, yeah, the moon goes into waxing cycles twice a month. So that was hilarious, right? How come you guys are not laughing? Maybe my animation, is this better? You can't see my legs.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
So it waxes.
Very
It waxes twice a month. That's why it doesn't have hair.
If I search this on Google, or if I told this to Siri, she would not stop laughing until the next century.
Yeah. All right, Celine, you get to choose again.
Okay. Moon formation for 100.
Moon formation for 100. This is the theory that most scientists believe is the likely origin of the moon. So this is the theory that most scientists believe today about moon formation.
Is it the giant impact theory?
It is the...
Oh, that's the Ganymede.
No. Ganymede is the large... You got it right. It's the giant impact theory. So the giant impact theory has that a giant object slammed into the Earth and created the moon. Ganymede is the largest moon in our solar system, so you're getting confused. But yeah, Ganymede, moon of Jupiter, giant impact theory, that's the most accepted theory, although there are some flaws with that theory. There's some weird things that can't really be explained. This is the main theory. But we are out of time for today. We're actually over quite a few minutes. So I do need to say bye to you all. Well played. It's getting to be more of an even game, or at least at one point we were almost caught up there. But yeah, thank you, Celine. Thank you.
The places, because we all know the places of the thing. So
Yeah, I'm gonna mix. I will. I'm gonna mix things up, and I'm gonna. So I added a new category. I did change the scores. Maybe I'm gonna make those rocket ones triple. I got to get you guys to go into those categories. You guys know the answers to the rocket ones. Like what is the rocket system that took astronauts to the moon in the Apollo missions? What's the name of that rocket? You guys got to know the name of that rocket.
Starship.
What's that? No,
Saturn 5.
Saturn 5 is right? Yeah, the Starship is a lunar lander, right? And then the Artemis rocket, what is the name of the Artemis rocket? That orange thing?
Oh, that one.
That's called the Space Launch System. So, and you guys know about the Falcon rocket, right? The Falcon 9 is the one that does the landings. It's the one that can land on its own on drone ships. So that whole category is about those rocket systems. So if you know the Starship, if you know the SLS, which seems like we're not.
And then I get 1,000, and if I get it right, I get 3,000 points.
Yeah, you get double points. Or I'll make it triple. I'm going to make it triple next week. Anyway, I need to take off. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the class, and I look forward to doing many more.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I can have a giant